Hello and a very good afternoon to all our viewers who are joining me live in this Facebook and YouTube interaction of News 9. And today I will be speaking about how Japan has made a U-turn in terms of shifting companies from China and all across other countries to one particular destination. Earlier, Japan had said that the companies will shift to Vietnam, but now Japanese manufacturers will be eligible for subsidies if they shift production out of China to India or Bangladesh in an expansion of government program aimed at diversifying the country's supply chain. So by expanding the scope of the subsidy program, Japan aims to reduce its dependence on a particular region and to build a system which is able to provide a stable supply of medical materials and also electronic components even in times of emergency. So the government has now allocated 23.5 billion yen or 221 million rupees in 2020 supplemental budget for the subsidy to encourage the companies to disperse their manufacturing sites across ASEAN region. So in the conjunction with the second round of application which began on September 3rd, projects that will contribute to the resilience of the ASEAN-Japan supply chain were added to the list, assuming that relocation plans to India and Bangladesh. So in order to answer a few questions, we have with us Mr. Arun, who is also our business analyst. And thank you for joining me in this live interaction, Arun. And my first question to you is, Japan seems to have made a U-turn. So what do you think about Japan's latest announcement of relocating companies which have manufacturing units in China to India or Bangladesh?
We really don't know the exact reason, Deepak, as to why this particular decision has been taken. Because remember, there was a plan. It was brought into place or into action by the former PM Shinzo Abe when he was in office. And that was a whopping $563 million program to ensure that Japanese companies which were present in China moved their production base to Japan rather than stay put in China on account of the issues relating to supply chain disruption and also because of the growing geopolitical tensions. Now, why has Japan not decided to encourage its own companies to invest back in Japan? One probable reason could be the fact that labor is a big issue as far as Japan is concerned. Japan is largely a very aging population, and to get young labor, particularly to work in factories and shop floors, is a Herculean task, and that perhaps explains the reason why Japan chose a country like India. And remember, Japan is not a newcomer as far as India is concerned. Japanese goods have been sold in large numbers. Japan is India's fourth largest investor, and it has pumped in more than $33 billion between 2000 and 2020. Now, it accounts for about 7.2% of India's foreign direct investments coming in from the land of the rising sun. Now, as far as exports to India from Japan are concerned, that was placed at about $12.77 billion in 2018-19. And that makes India the 14th largest trading partner as far as Japan is concerned. Now, apart from the fact that you would be able to get quality manpower of a young age group, there are other advantages as far as Japanese companies are concerned. Japan sees India as a key market. Remember, India's biggest automobile player by way of market share, 52.6% if my numbers are right, is a Japanese company. And Suzuki knows that this is a very key market. In fact, India accounts for a large portion, substantially huge portion of the operating profits worldwide as far as Suzuki is concerned. And that has been the experience with so many other companies. Unfortunately enough, you had a wave of Korean companies which came, then you had the Chinese. And the Japanese are now looking once again very aggressively at the Indian market. They realize that India has a lot of potential. India is not alien country. Indians know what Japanese products are all about. Japan has had a very important role to play as far as the telecom and mobility market, mobile telephony market is concerned. There was a very popular brand of Japanese handsets which were being sold. You had Japanese televisions being sold. So Japan is not alien country. And Japan perhaps also believes that geopolitically speaking, India is perhaps the best foil as far as securing its own position in the hierarchy of nations in terms of industrial production is concerned. And as long as the FDI comes in, it is going to be a plus plus for both the countries. We have a young population. We'll be able to produce a lot of goods and services. And more importantly, Japan can claw back as far as the Committee of Nations, which are looking or aggressively wooing India as a marketplace. So it will be a very interesting turn of events if it's going to happen. And I do believe that Japanese companies will come in large numbers. They've seen the Koreans come and dominate. They've seen the Chinese come and dominate. And they would like to now go back to the original country. After all, remember, 1.3 billion. That number is staggering, 130 crore people. You will never get in one place. And also remember, now that we are talking in terms of the 5G being rolled out as far as mobile telephony is concerned, Japan would love to have a slice of action as far as that is concerned. We have some very big investments going out of India into Japan. You have one very large IT services company, for instance, which has a facility in Japan. It's a huge market. And if you are able to address it and service it, I think the Japanese will love to be back again in India, Deepak.
Also, Arun, now these companies have been promised incentives. So what are the kinds of perks or incentives that these companies are entitled to?
Well, as far as India is concerned, India is rolling out a red carpet. I mean, the Indian government is very clear. If you are a company which is based right now in China, and because of the supply, constraints or supply side disruptions, you want to move out of China, you can definitely look at India as a market. We are offering them, believe it or not, 4.63 lakh hectares of land. We are saying, look, every single piece of paperwork that needs to be done will be done as quickly as possible. We will ensure that all the necessary requirements in terms of factors of production, be it labor, be it land, be it the other facilities like electricity, etc., will be made available. We want to industrialize. This is an opportune moment. We're looking at it because, remember, nowhere across the globe do you have this kind of advantage.
Right.
And every country, as the G20 knows for itself, that India can become a very important market as far as production of goods and services are concerned. Very, very competitive. And not just producing it for the sake of exports, but even to service the local market. I mean, nowhere else would you get 130 crore people. That is continental Europe plus the US put together. We are at least 40% more in terms of population when compared to continental Europe, and in fact double. Beg your pardon for the miscalculation, but we are double the size of continental Europe and US put together. I mean, those are staggering numbers. Anyone starting from the biggest automaker to perhaps the biggest producer of any kind of raw material will salivate at the idea of servicing the Indian market. And therefore, it becomes an important piece as far as economic growth is concerned. And also remember, we have very deep-rooted cultural ties with the Japanese. The Japanese hold Indians in very high esteem. And this is something that perhaps we all should now exploit and ensure that more dollars by way of foreign direct investments come into India. We are able to create more jobs for the millions of Indians who are skilled and are looking for a good employment opportunity. because this is real employment. I mean, service sector is no doubt important, but when the industrial sector gets kicking in, you can produce many more jobs, and that is the need of the hour at this point of time as far as India is concerned, Deepak.
Right, Arun, thank you for joining me with all those details. Well, that was my colleague Arun Sundaram giving us his insights about the Japan's latest announcement of providing incentives to companies which will be shifting the manufacturing units from China to India or Bangladesh. And the motive behind this move of Japan is because of the kind of labor that is available for Japan and also the kind of market that is available for Japan. Like my colleague mentioned, you wouldn't find 130 crore people in one place. So Japan is looking forward for that, and this will also indirectly help India as well. So it's a win-win situation for both the countries. Japan will get its investments in the Indian market, and Indians will get employment opportunities and also many other perks which my colleague Arun mentioned. And with that, it's a wrap on this live interaction. Please leave your comments below and what you think about Japan's latest move. And in the meanwhile, also like, share and subscribe to News 9 Digital on various social media platforms. Thank you for watching.